Hello, my name is Mrs. Epps, and today's video lesson is going to be on telling time to the half hour. Telling time to the half hour. So if you participated in the lesson on telling time to the hour, I hope that you did. If you have not, and you feel the need to go back and do a review of telling time to hour, please go and visit that lesson and complete that lesson. And then you can come back over here and participate in this lesson. But if not, I am going to do a brief review of telling time to the hour as well. All right, so let's get started by talking about our lesson objective first. And if you look right here, here it is. Here's our lesson objective. I will tell time to the half hour today. And here are the materials you're going to need: interactive clock, a paper clock, math practice sheet, and a pencil. Now the paper clock is optional in relation to the interactive clock. So I'm going to show you what the interactive clock and the paper clock, I'm going to show you what they are, okay? And that's going to make more sense. Okay, so if you see here, move me over, oops. If you see right here, we have a paper clock. Now if your parent wants to print this clock down, they can print this clock down, and you can cut out the hands of the clock, because these are the hands, the short hand right here, short hand and long hand. You can cut the hands out and then place them on the clock as you participate in the lesson, okay? So that's your paper clock. Now here is your interactive clock, okay? Move me over. So this is your interactive clock. This is a clock that you will have access to in the materials section of the lesson, okay? And it's a clock that you find online, but I will have a link to this clock under the materials section, okay? So you will be able to pull that up on your computer. Now, we're going to get to a point in the lesson where you're going to see that I'm going to ask you to display a timer on your interactive clock or your paper clock, and you're going to check it with my clock. And you see here I have two tabs, okay? This is the tab right here. Let's see if I can get my pen out. Okay, that's a tab, and this is the tab, okay? So when I say tabs, you may have to switch between tabs, because this will be, more than likely, one of these tabs will be me, and the other tab will be your clock that you're working with, okay? All right, so those are the materials that you're going to need. Let's go back to our beginning page here, and we're going to move on. Let's get started with our lesson, okay? So if you don't have those particular materials, you can pause the lesson right here, get those things, and come back, okay? Okay, let's move on. Okay, so now we're going to start by talking about the hands on the clock, okay? The hands on the clock, and you can see here, you have a green long hand. It says the long hand is the minute hand. This hand is the minute hand, okay? We're just doing a review, all right? The short hand is the hour hand. So this is your hour hand right here. And this is your minute hand, okay? Now, this person, if I were to ask you to tell time, to read the time for this clock, we would read this time as, let me get my pointer, 3 o'clock. Because this time on this particular clock, we're telling time to the hour. If you remember, you said I did say I was going to review. So whenever that long hand points to the 12, we're going to say o'clock, okay? So this is 3 o'clock, because your hour hand is pointing to the 3 and your minute hand is pointing to the 12. So whenever that long hand or minute hand is pointing to the 12, what do we say? O'clock, okay? And of course, this is our hour hand. All right, let's move on. Now, there are 60 minutes on a clock face. So this is your clock face. And this is also called an analog clock, okay? So the minute hand is a long hand. See that? That minute hand is a long hand. And we skip count by 5 to count the minutes on the clock. So do that with me. We're going to skip count by 5. Whenever you're telling time on a clock, you're going to skip count. Okay, and we have to skip count by fives. So skip count by fives with me, okay? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. So there are 60 minutes in an hour, okay? So I want you to practice. If you're not familiar with counting by fives, I do want you to practice counting by fives, okay? Because that's very important. You need to know how to do that. So you can pause the video right here and just continue to practice counting by fives, okay? So that's very important. So on these numbers, you're starting with 1, you're going to start with 5 here and count by fives all the way to 60. When you get to 12, you'll say 60, okay, if you're counting by fives, all right? So please remember to do that. How many minutes are there in an hour? 60 minutes. That's right there. All right. Okay, it says count the numerals on the clock. There are only 12 hours on a clock face, so the hour hand is a shorthand. And that's true. Let's count the numerals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, all right. Okay, so it says minute is a long word, right? So the minute hand is a long hand. Here's another strategy you can use to help you remember the minute hand. Minute is a long word. So this helps us to remember that this is the minute hand. Hour is a short word. So the hour hand is a short hand. So you see how the hour is a short word? And the shorthand is short too. Just another strategy to help you remember that, okay? All right. Let's keep working hard. Okay, so now here we're getting into the nuts and bolts of our lesson, okay? We're going to learn how to tell time to the half hour. Are you excited? I am. Okay, let's go. It says, when the minute hand is pointing to the 6, read the time as half past. On this clock, the minute hand is pointing to the 6. See that minute hand right here? The hour hand is pointing between 4 and the 5. So that, see the hour hand is pointing between or in the middle of 4 and 5, okay? And our minute hand is pointing to the 6. So we will read this time as 4:30. Whenever this minute hand or long hand is pointing to the 6, you're going to always say 30, okay? You can also say 4:30, okay? That's where you see this half past right here. You can read it in 2 ways. You can say 4:30, or you can say 4:30. They mean the same thing, okay? Now, when you write 4:30, it looks like this. That's how it looks. I don't think it's going to let me write. Let me get an eraser. Let's put it in a different place. Okay. So 4:30 is going to look just like that. Okay. And this is actually called digital time, because here's your hour and here are your minutes. 4:30. Okay. All right. Now I have to tell you something very important. Are you listening? Okay. This is very important. I'm going to give you a key point. Okay. So right here, you'll see when the hour hand is in the middle of 2 numbers, the hour is the number that the hour hand just passed. So let me explain. Here's your hour hand. It's in the middle of the 2 numbers. You see this hour hand here? It just passed the 4. Okay? That's what that means when it says the hour is the hour that the hand just passed, because this hour hand just passed 4. And that's why you would read this time as 4:30. Okay? Very good key point. And you might want to back the video up a little bit and hear me say that again several times, because I want you to get that very cemented in your mind, that key point because that's very important because it's going to help you to tell time to the half hour easily. Okay. All right. Let's move on to our next frame. Okay. And we're going to wait for our clock to load. There it is. Okay. So here again, we have a different time here. Okay, so when the minute hand is pointing to the 6, read the time as half past, right? On this particular page here, or clock here, the minute hand is pointing, of course, to the 6, and the hour hand is pointing to the 9. Okay, it is 9:30 or half past 9. But once again, the hour hand just passed the 9. So we know because that hour hand just passed the 9, we're going to say 9. Okay, and we're going to say 9 what? 30. Because whenever that minute hand points to the 6, we say what? We say 30. We can also read this time as half past 9. Okay, and when we say half past, we mean this. It may not let me draw in here. I think this is because this pane may be locked. Oh, there it is. It won't let me draw there. But what I was going to tell you was, if I was able to draw a line here, it would be half of this clock. And that's why people say half past whatever the hour is, okay? So it's half past 9 or 9:30. How will we write that? We'll put a 9 and a 0, and we would say 9:30, okay? Very good. Very good. Let's move on. You're working hard. Okay. We're going to wait for our clock to load. So now it's going to ask us, it says to us, what time is it? So I want you to tell your mom and dad or whoever is sitting with you what time it is. Okay? Take a second to read this time. Did you say 3:30? Because if you did, you were right. Now explain to mom and dad why you said 3:30. Because if I were to explain to my parent why it's 3:30, I would say, Mom, this is 3:30 because, let me get my little pointer here. I'm going to use my cursor. The hour hand just passed the 3 and is directly between the 3 and the 4. So I would say 3:30 because whenever that minute hand points to the 6, I always say 30. Okay? So it is 3:30, and this is how you write it right here, okay? All right, very good. Okay, here we go again. It says, what time is it? Read that time, please. Did you say 10:30? If you did, you were correct. Why did you say 10:30? Did you say because the hour hand is just past the 10, which is right here? See that hour hand just past the 10, and it's right in the middle of the 10 and 11. And we know that whenever that hour hand just passes a number, we know it's going to be this particular hour right here because it just passed the 10, okay? Now, how we write this? So we know it says 10:30 because our minute hand is pointing to the 6, and we always say 30 whenever the minute hand is pointing to the 6. So we'll write it like this, 10:30. All right, very good. Let's do some erasing here. Okay, let's see if it'll let us erase. It won't let us, and it's okay. We'll erase later. All right, let's go to the next page. Okay, so now we're going to do something really fun, okay? Let me move me over here. That's what I wanted to do. Lock in place. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do, we're going to spin this clock, okay? Let's spin it. Now, what time is it? What time does it say? Did you say 8:30? So now we have to show 8:30 on our clock. So if you have your interactive clock, and by that I mean this clock here, okay? I mean this clock right here, your interactive clock or your paper clock. That's what I want you to get out right now, okay? In the meantime, let's show 8:30. Now, so you do it on your clock first, and then I'm gonna do it on mine. Does your clock look like mine? If your clock looks like mine, then you were correct, because we know this is 8:30 because we're showing right here that our hour hand just passed that 8. So we will read this time as 8:30. Okay, and we know that our minute hand is pointing to the 6, and whenever our minute hand points to the 6, we always say what? 30. All right, let's spin again. Oops. Okay, now it wants us to show 7:30. So use your clock to show 7:30. So if your clock looks like mine, you were correct. Why does it say 7:30? Because our hour hand has just passed the 7, and it is directly between the 7 and the 8. 7:30. Our minute hand is on the 6, so we know we'll always say 30. And an hour hand, of course, as I have stated, is between your 7 and your 8. It just passed that 7, so we're going to say 7:30. How will we write it? Let's write it. 7:30, because actually this is digital time. And let me show you what digital time looks like. So do you see this right here? Let's do 7:30 on this clock. Here we go. See, this is a digital clock right here. And you probably have one of these clocks in your house, okay? And once again, as I've stated, this time here, this part of the time on a digital clock is your hour time, or would be considered your hour hand. So we would just say 7. And of course, this we're just going to say 30, okay? Because that's where our minute hand will be pointing to the 6. And we realize that whenever our minute hand is pointing to the 6, we're always going to say 30. So we're going to say 7:30, and a colon is always going to be seen when you're using digital time. So you write 7 colon, then you write 30. Okay, this is a digital clock. What kind of clock is this? You said digital clock. If you did, you were correct. Okay. All right. Let's go back to our other activity. Oops. Oh, I didn't mean to move on. Let me go back. I'm going to give you some more practice. Hold on. Let me give it a second to show up here. Let's do one more over here. And let's spin. Let's spin again. We already had that one. Spin again. There we go. Okay. Now this says 9:30. So show 9:30 on your clock. 9:30. 9:30. Okay. And I'm going to show 9:30 on my clock. And here we are. Our hour hand is pointing between the 9 and 10 because the hour hand just passed the 9, and our minute hand here is pointing to what? The 6. And we always say what when our minute hand points to the 6? We say what? We say 30. So it is 9:30. Okay? All right. Let's move on. Okay. I think we did this particular example. Let's see if they give us a different time. Okay. All right. So let's go to our next practice page. So now what we're going to do is we're going to, and this is a page, you can always practice with this page here. Here we go. All right. So what I want you to do, I'm going to be on this time right here, okay? And I want you to tell me what time is this? You can tell your parent what time it is. Did you say 12:30? If you did, you were correct because our hour hand just passed what number? The 12. And our minute hand is pointing to what? The 6. And what do we say when our minute hand points to the 6? We always say 30. So this is 12:30. And we write it like this, 12:30. Okay? Very good. Okay, let's go to our next time. What time does this clock say? Did you say 1:30? If you did, you were correct because our hour hand has just passed the 1 and our minute hand is pointing to the 6, and we always say 30 when our minute hand points to the 6. So it is 1:30. 1:30, okay? Very good. All right, read this clock for me, please. Did you say 2:30? Because if you did, you were correct. Why did you say 2:30? Explain it to someone who is next to you. If you explained it to someone, you should have said something like this. I know this is 2:30 because the hour hand just passed the 2. The hour hand is pointing in between the 2 and the 3, right in the middle. So I'm going to say 2:30 because I know when my minute hand points to the 6, I always say 30. So it is 2:30. Here's how we write it. 2:30. Okay? Very good. Let's go on to our next one. Okay, let me move me over here so it will move up. Oh, that's what I need to do. There we go. Okay, what time does this clock say? Did you say 3:30? Because if you did, you were correct. Why did you say 3:30? Did you say our hour hand has just passed the 3 and our minute hand is pointing to the 6, and we always say 30 whenever the minute hand points to the 6, so this would be 3:30. And I want to show you something, okay? Let's see if I can write 3:30 really quickly right here. 3:30. Okay, so I'm going to show you that concept. So like if it was 3 o'clock, I want you to watch this hour hand. Watch what it does. You see how it's just passing that 3? So this is how we know it's actually 3:30. Do you see how it just passed it? That's what I mean, okay? So keep that in mind. You can always go back to this part of the lesson to review that concept of that hour hand just passing an hour, so we'll know what to say when we're telling time to the half hour. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see, where were we? Okay, we were right here, okay? So read this time for me. This one right here. Let me see so you know where I am. This one right here. Okay, did you say 4:30? If you did, you were exactly right, because what happened? That hour hand did what? It just passed what number or what hour? The 4. So we would say 4:30 or half past 4. Okay? All right, let's go on. Let me write it for you. Let's write 4:30. I don't think I can get it in here clearly, so I'll put it over here. This is how you would write 4:30. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Read this clock for me, please. Did you say 5:30? If you did, you were correct. Why did you say that? Did you say because the hour hand or that shorthand just passed the 5, right? It just passed the 5, and my minute hand is pointing to the 6, and you say 30 when it points to the 6. So you would read it as 5:30, okay? And let's write 5:30. 5:30. Okay, I was just checking to see if I could write over there because I will have more space. Okay. All right, very good. Let's go to our next one. Okay, what time is it? I'm talking about this clock right here. What time is it? Did you say 6:30? Because we realized, you see right here, here's a number 6, and the hour hand has just did what? It just passed the 6. So we're going to say 6:30 because that minute hand is pointing to the 6, and we always say what? 30. So it's 6:30. So let me write it over here. I can write it bigger over here. 6:30. And what kind of time did we say this was? Digital time, right? That's your, oops, it went away. Let me put it back. Okay. Let's put it back. Your hour side and your minute side. Okay. All right. Let's move along. Okay. I think we did one like that. Let's see. How about this one? Let's try this one. What time is this clock say? Did you say 8:30? Yes, 8:30. Okay, 8:30. Because the hour hand has just done what? It has just passed the 8. And my minute hand is pointing to the 6, and we always say what? 30. So it's 8:30. Let's write it. 8:30. All right. So let's go to our interactive clock, okay? We need to spend some time over here with our interactive clock or your paper clock. And I want you, I'm going to just mess my time up a little bit here. I want you to show me 11:30. 11:30. Go ahead and do that. I'm going to let you go first, then I'm going to do it. Okay, here we go. There it is, 11:30. Did you do that? If you did not, it's okay. We're all learning together. Now you can correct it. Your shorthand has to just pass the 11, and your long hand should be pointing to the 6. It should say 11:30. Okay, 11:30. All right, I want you to show me 10:30. Go ahead and show me 10:30. Okay, so now I'm going to do it. There we go. 10:30. See how my hour hand just passed the 10? And my minute hand is pointing to the 6. 10:30. Okay, let's do one more. I want you to show me 2:30. Show me 2:30. All right, so let me fix my clock to 2:30. Okay, good job. Do you see how that hour hand just passed what number? The 2. And I would say 2:30. All right, let's go back and do some review, okay? So we realize whenever we are telling time, let's get to a page that actually has a clock on it. Let me move me out of the way here because I want you to actually see the clock. So here we go. Let's get our clock up here. There it is. Okay. So let's let me move me down here for a second. Oops. Come back. All right. So if we recall, whenever our hand is pointing to, let's erase this, okay? It has just passed a number. If it's just past this 4, we would say 4:30, because here's our key point. Remember that? When the hour hand is in the middle of two numbers, the hour is a number that the hour hand just passed. This is what I'm talking about. And whenever this minute hand points to the 6, what do we say? We say 30. We'll read this time as 4:30 or half past 4. And when we write it like this: 4:30. Okay, and this is what kind of time? Digital time. All right, guys. I've enjoyed working with you today. We have learned how to tell time to the half hour. Please, please practice, practice, practice at home. Practice with that math pack practice sheet we just worked on, and you'll be great at it. Okay. I want you to stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you again in the next video lesson.